Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's life. And by this title of the video you should know that I am basically going to be doing a review of this year's G1. And if you've watched my previous video, which if you haven't you shouldn't, I had a look at the first half of the tournament. Well, I am back today to look at the second half of the matches that happened and that final. And if you have watched it, you will know what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched it and you're watching this video, there will be a lot of spoilers. So I'm going to have a look at sort of the matches that happened after my last video, the final night, and how my predictions went, which for once in my life went pretty well. So let's get going. When I last spoke to you guys on my previous video, we had some amazing matches. Literally, I was listing them off like there was no tomorrow. There was Naito versus Zack, there was Shingo versus Ishii, there was Okada versus Tanahashi, there was Yujiro versus Kota Ibushi, and since then, it seems like the quality just remained consistently amazing. We had matches between guys who have never faced before, matches between guys who've only ever seen each other in tag matches, and matches between people who literally don't normally even get a look in when it comes to singles bouts, never mind in the G1. As always, I always struggle to pick out my favourite matches because there are so many, and also it feels like the last stage of the G1 just sort of went in a whoosh, if that makes sense. So I guess some of the main ones that are going to stand out to me. Okada versus Tama Tonga. Now, I've always had a lot to say about Bullet Club and the Bullet Club shenanigans, like specifically evil, right? But in this Okada versus Tama Tonga match, Tama proved that yes, the Bullet Club is about shenanigans, but at the core of it, they are amazing wrestlers. 90% of Bullet Club are amazing wrestlers. In this match, Tama didn't use any Bullet Club shenanigans. He used his speed, his agility and his strength and beat one of the best in the world in Kazuchika Okada. He broke Kazuchika Okada's winning streak, which had literally gone through the entire tournament. It was Tama Tonga who broke the fact that Okada could have been one of the only, I think it's maybe 2 or 3 men in the history of the G1 who have ever gone through the entire tournament with full points. And he did it in his own way, showcasing his talent. Another match, and I'm on that subject, is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tanga Loa. Again, Tanga Loa, another guy who is Bullet Club through and through, but this entire tournament has never relied on any iffy tactics, okay? That's a lie. He did it with the one against Kenta, but Kenta started it. You know how much I love Zack Sabre Jr., and I was gutted because it was Tanga Loa's win that obviously kicked Zack out. But holy God, it was an amazing match. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Tanga Loa has been throwing out these moonsaults randomly. A man that size should not be able to do it. But what I liked about his match with Zack was that both guys were adapting to each other. So Tama Tonga was using less of his strength and utilising his speed, which both him and his brother have in amazing bounds. Zack knew that he was never going to beat Tanga Loa with his submission or like a roll-up because of the size of him. So he was trying to wear down his opponents. So in essence, really either of them could have won. I think the match went over maybe just around 20 minutes. And it was full of action, but it was an amazing match. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenta, a match I was really looking forward to. Despite the fact that Kenta has been using less than clean methods to win, it was still an amazing match between two guys who are probably out of the entire 2 blocks the most similar in terms of their upbringing of wrestling and the style that they utilise. Something that borders submission wrestling but also strikes. And I think that at its purest form, if you take away all of Kenta's shenanigans, is what the G1 is about. It's about going up against guys who you might never have thought you have chemistry with, but once you get in the ring, crowds are in wow of it. And I'm not going to talk too much about specific matches because I might, if you're lucky, I might do another video looking at my top 5 matches from the tournament. But wrestlers specifically, this might actually be, on average, Toru Yano's longest G1 in probably forever. He did not have, I think he had maybe one match that was about 6 minutes. I think that was one with Kota Ibushi. But apart from that, solidly wrestling like 8 to 9 minutes. He had matches with Ishii. He had matches with Zack. He had matches with everyone in A Block. And there was obviously shenanigans, like there was tape, handcuffs, scissors. But they were all like proper matches. They combined Toru Yano's fun antics with the fact that like when he wants to, he can actually be an amazing wrestler. Like we saw him go back to his amateur roots, and I'm sorry, if Kevin Kelly was shook on the commentary, I was especially shaken watching it. I even shouted out once, Toru Yano's a proper wrestler! Because I think sometimes people forget. Back in the day when he was obviously GBH and then the start of Chaos, yes, he had this shenanigans, but he is a pure wrestler. Other guys who have really impressed me in the tournament, Yujiro Takahashi. I said this in my previous video when I talked about his win against Kota Ibushi, and I've said it similarly with Tanga Loa and Tama Tonga. When they are in the ring, they have not been using shenanigans. Occasionally Yujiro has been known to use his pin stick, use Peter as a distraction, who, by the way, stunning, just gonna say that. Really focused on his wrestling, focused on getting the crowd excited, and there were even points where the crowd were fully behind Yujiro. They were like, oh my god, this man can actually wrestle. And that was another thing that I really liked about the G1 was sort of the role reversals we saw. For example, we all know that there was probably 2 years ago, I was one of those people. The motto was, as long as it's not Tai Chi, anybody but Tai Chi. This year, I've been a fan of Tai Chi for a year and a half now, I think. Like, he's grown up in my ranks, not as high as Jay, but still going up there. I think now, this year specifically, again, with their feud against GOD, they've really become true baby faces. In his match against Tanahashi, which is one of my favourite matches, can I just say, he was at the ropes and Tanahashi wasn't letting go. He wasn't letting go of his submission. And the crowds were cheering for Taichi to go forward to do it. Even in his post-match comments, we've seen a more sincere side to him. And it's similar when we've got Bullet Club versus Bullet Club matches. We've seen guys like Tanga Loa get the crowd support, which is something that, honestly, you'd never think you'd see. Like, we've all seen it in the past where if it's Bullet Club versus Suzuki-gun, they will always be Team Suzuki-gun. But you rarely see it for Bullet Club members. And to be fair, you rarely see it for Tai Chi. And if you told me this 2 years ago, I probably would have laughed in your face. But yeah, amazing. But then we got to the final. So I didn't exactly watch the final live, the whole of it. I caught with it. There were some amazing undercard matches. You had that 5-minute spectacular between Shibata and Zack Sabre Jr. in boxer shorts. Sorry. I can't believe I had to miss that. But it's fine. We got to the final. I was on social media doing my normal work and so it was on. So I thought, early lunch break. Going into this, it was probably one of the matches in the whole tournament that had the most attractive and the most talented men. I actually tweeted that and New Japan actually retweeted it. Everyone knows how handsome they are. And it was going to be an amazing match no matter what happened. Obviously going into it, I wanted Okada to win. This is probably the best my predictions have ever gone. And I somehow had it in my brain, I was like, fingers crossed. As expected, the match started amazing. It started quite slowly, it was a feeling out process. As always on commentary, Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton were perfect, saying Okada likes to slow these matches down because in the past, whenever Okada has beaten Ibushi, it's been over the 20-minute mark. It's been a longer, more sort of slow fight compared to the fast, quick-paced one that Ibushi thrives on. However, as expected from Ibushi, it very quickly turned dangerous. And I think around the 5-minute mark, that's when the pace of both guys started to speed up. So they were doing drop kicks, they were going outside the ring, they were picking up speed and momentum. But at the core of it, they were still showcasing other sides to them. So Ibushi had his strikes, Okada had his power and strength, and it probably cemented the fact that they are two of the best in the business. I remember it got to about the 20-minute mark and I was like, wait, are you telling me 20 minutes has already happened? Because it was so fast-paced, but it was not so fast-paced that you're almost bored. It was something that, I always say this, it was a match that changed the speed, it changed the tempo, a bit like a good song. And you saw the guys going dangerous. So Ibushi being a nutter, backflipping off the top rope. Okada doing those fabulous drop kicks, the DDTs to the outside. It was all going amazing, and I was literally ready to tweet, this is going to be a match of the year candidate because it is phenomenal. And then it all went wrong. I'm not going to say it went wrong because it was an unfortunate incident. So at the 25-minute mark, Kota Ibushi, so basically around this time, Ibushi and Okada seemed to have a glint in their eye. You know how Ibushi normally has a crazy hit? Okada had it too. And they were going full out. And Ibushi did a beautiful Phoenix splash, which is sort of like a throwback to his junior heavyweight days, and it was magnificent. I grabbed my laptop, ready to tweet about it, looked up, and saw that Uno had actually stopped the match and called the bell. Ibushi was lying on the floor, and Okada was shocked. Like, his face was so surprised. And we don't know what happened, and at the time of recording this, I'm not sure what happened, but Ibushi may have broken his arm, dislocated something on his landing, and Uno made the wise decision to stop the match, and therefore giving Okada the win. Now, I know people are saying it's an anticlimax, but judging from the way that it went after, so with the medical staff and the Young Lions coming in, Ibushi was ready to carry on that match. We know Ibushi is crazy. He's a bit like Hiromu when Hiromu broke his neck. He would have carried on. However, Red Shoes Uno did the perfect thing, knowing that this is what Ibushi would think, and called it off before he could do any more harm. You even saw, after the match was finished, Okada go up to Ibushi and tell him to stop, calm down, just let himself get treated. Yes, wrestling is a sport, it's entertainment between two guys who are rivals. But at this point, Okada proved that, yes, they're wrestlers, yes, they're there to entertain, but at the end of the day, they are still human beings. Okada was genuinely concerned for Ibushi, as was I. I just wanted to take my bubble wrap and wrap Ibushi and give him a massive hug. And it proved that, to all the naysayers who say wrestling's fake, wrestling's not real, it's a real thing. People get injured putting their bodies on the line every day in matches. And yes, I saw someone on social media saying New Japan didn't take care of him. This is what happens when you put tired people in the ring. Ibushi's been on top form. Wrestling is a sport where you can do everything perfect, but even a little move of the body or some wrong planning can lead to an injury like this. And it was so unfortunate because it was an amazing match. And it sort of seems like this G1 has almost been jinxed. So at the start, Naito was out because of injury, and now this match had to finish because of injury. However, I don't want to take away from how amazing the G1 has been this year. And the fact that for the first time ever, yes, it might have been because of injury, I got a prediction right. I went into this tournament saying, well, there's no Jay, so what am I going to do? I went for Okada and Naito to win the blocks. First match Naito had, he was out, so I was like, we're going on the wrong line again. It's going to be another year where Sonal gets it completely wrong. In the end, Okada won. I mean, I don't know if this was meant to happen or it was just because of Ibushi's injury, but I'm going to take the win because this has actually never happened to me before. So thank you, Okada. And obviously, as expected, take care of Ibushi. I hope he gets well soon because he seemingly has had a lot of bad luck. So from having to relinquish the title to injury, catching pneumonia, and now this. It's been a tough 2021 for the Golden Star. But no doubt, along with Naito, they will go and recuperate and will be back, hopefully stronger than ever for Wrestle Kingdom. That was sort of like a quick look at the second half of this year's G1 and the final. It's been a very up and down tournament, in the sense that we started the tournament with an injury, like I said, with Naito. People had their concerns about the lineup not being as diverse as normal due to COVID restrictions, and now obviously Ibushi getting injured on the final match. However, all of the wrestlers involved, all 20 of them, put on consistently amazing matches. There is not one guy who didn't deserve their spot, and after watching every single match, there is not a guy in there that doesn't deserve to be there next year. From the guys who were top of the block, so Okada, Cobb, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, to even the guys at the bottom, Yoshihashi, Yujiro, Chase Owens, shockingly Hiroki Goto this year. All of them deserve a spot next year, so whether we increase the field to 30 or maybe some of the other older, more experienced guys like Tanahashi give up their spots, New Japan is in such safe hands, and on the road to Wrestle Kingdom, this is exactly what we need. So, you've heard my thoughts now. I might be back with a video again with some more G1 info because it's a lot to take in, or I might not. But please make sure you let me know what you think. Was there a match or a wrestler that stood out for you the most? So for me, it was Zack Sabre Jr. and the match was anything from Zack Sabre Jr. probably. But what is yours? Let me know in the comments. As always, follow me on social media at wrestling_chat on Twitter, at SonalsLife96 on Instagram. Let me know your thoughts there. And remember to subscribe because we are now on the road to Wrestle Kingdom, and that means hopefully more content from me. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Click that subscribe button and I will see you soon. Bye!